Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
I'm just trying to live my life the same as everyone else.
We'll show you where transgender youth will compete if the new bill passes.
They were indicative of the time they were written.
We'll tell you why some Dr. Seuss books are selling for hundreds of dollars.
You're still beautiful at your pandemic 15.
We'll show you how this group is working towards body positivity and acceptance.
The Jazz have the best record in the NBA. I'll show you the recipe for their success in sports.
March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. I'll tell you if half of that will be true in weather.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
This car was engulfed in flames in the North Logan Walmart parking lot. The fire department arrived on scene and extinguished the fire. The owner was not present, so they had to break into the hood in order to put out the flames. Witnesses say the car was burning for over 10 minutes, but they were unsure what started the fire. They said no one was injured, but some of the surrounding cars were damaged.
Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Sam Walker.
And I'm William Boltez.
The Utah bill that was trying to prohibit transgender girls from competing in girls' sports has been stalled. Sarah Murphy joins us from USU's Ralph Mon Track Stadium with the latest.
Thanks, Sam. I'm here where the USU track and field team competes. Now, they're not a direct target of House Bill 302, but there could be a trickle-up effect. At the NCAA Regional Cross Country Qualifier in Logan in 2017, the men and women raced separately. Men ran farther and faster. With a proposed new Utah law, that could be changing.
We can include you, we can accept you, we can love you, whether you're transgender or whether you're a boy. But give us the court, the track, or the field for us.
Taken all the records away from them and taken away all their opportunities because we're just going to be better the minute we join girls' sports and dominate, which none of that is true.
They're talking about House Bill 302. Representative Kara Birkland created this bill to require Utah junior high and high schools to designate athletics based on birth gender. It prohibits males from competing in a league with females, or in other words, it prohibits transgender girls from participating in girls' sports.
That's the part that starts to get me emotional because, these kids are, they're kind of defenseless and they're being attacked about who they are. They're being attacked by adults.
I've always been an advocate to the LGBT community. But when it comes to sports, we have to recognize how it will dramatically change women's sports if we don't put parameters in place.
The first proposal of the bill was on February 11th. After review, officials then brought the bill to the House of Representatives on February 17th. The House voted to pass the bill 50-23, which then moved the bill to the Senate. They met last week, but they didn't choose to vote for or against the bill, and that's why it stalled.
It lost a lot of support. There was not a lot of support for the bill in that committee meeting.
It's been hard, but I figure my actions hopefully will continue on and show people that I do care.
While the USU track team let us film them practicing, they told us they're not allowed to comment on the issue. Although the bill is considered dead for now, advocates from both sides agree that here in Utah, there are still conversations to be had.
My hope is moving forward that we can start pushing that conversation and start pushing for a healthier education system for all Utah kids.
I will do anything that I need to do so that they know that they can have a relationship with me. But we have to have these hard conversations.
Believing, understanding, supporting, just listening to us really, instead of ignoring us and trying to push us aside. If people would listen and actually listen, not just sit down, but actually open up their hearts and minds and hear what we're saying, I feel like that would be so much beneficial to the entire community.
Yeah.
It's just hard to make people sit down and actually listen to us.
As far as the finish line goes for the bill, Utah senators have until March 5th to make an official decision. But for now, it's not looking like it's going to cross it. Reporting from the Ralph Maughan Stadium, Sarah Murphy, ATV News. Now back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Sarah.
Dr. Seuss Enterprises announced that 6 books by the famous children's author will no longer be published because of racist and insensitive imagery. Here are 3 of those books, and as you can see in And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, it has this drawing of a Chinese man. The 6 books have been selling for hundreds of dollars on sites like eBay as readers try to get copies before they can't anymore.
I think that a lot of Seuss fans will have some of their favorites already, and the people who are trying to get them now are probably going to be really sad about the amount that they've paid.
And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street is the first book Dr. Seuss wrote under his pen name. It is one of the 6 books ceasing publication.
The final results for this year's USA officers are in. In the presidential race, Lucas Stevens beat out Eric Foth with about 53% of the vote. In a statement after the results were announced, President-elect Stevens said he is here to help students.
Let's recreate the Aggie experience, and let's support each other and build a more inclusive campus culture. We can do this.
Porter Kasdorf won the executive vice presidency. Alexis Needleman won student events VP. Neonta Chowdhury Magana won graduate studies senator. Taylor Sampson won athletics and campus recreation VP. And Ethan Conley won student advocate VP. And Emily Harmon won campus diversity VP. How would you like to wake up to the smell of fresh compost each morning? I went to Benson to talk to the people who are trying to stop that from happening. Blue Spring Creek could be mixed with the outflow of composting by fall. All from
the state calls it sewer sludge, pharmaceuticals, toxins, and then increase in nitrates and phosphorus just increases algae and the viability of a freshwater system.
Tom is worried those chemicals could make it through the filtering process and into the irrigation for local farmers. They could be
significantly impacted by this facility.
Tom says Logan City is looking at putting the new composting facility right here on the plot of land they own. The Blue Spring Creek runs alongside the proposed site right here. Benson homes are less than 2 miles away and they don't use the sewer system.
We're not contributing to the waste. So we would just hope that people would, understand that they need to take care of their own waste and not just pawn it off on another community just because we're small.
The land behind me could become the new daily destination for over 50 tons of sewer sludge. To put that into perspective, if I represented 1 ton of sewer sludge, no offense, none taken. Remember, there would be 50 of us in 1 day. That's 50 tons of sludge. After a week, that's over 350 tons.
It's just a question of, is this the best place to do it?
The residents and farmers of Benson say,
I don't want this by my home.
Our point is there's better places to put it rather than in wetlands, next to a stream, close to this community. It affects too many people.
The Planning Commission is set to make their decision tomorrow at 5:30. The hearing will be held in the courthouse on 2nd North and Main Street.
If you think you don't know anyone who's experienced sexual abuse, statistics say you're wrong. Sarah Murphy tells you the statistics that will make you want to reach out.
In the days of VHS, a woman could be murdered by her husband, and people weren't all that rocked.
The police are over there all the time. He's got a bad temper.
Professional help wasn't encouraging.
She did it, she did everything she could do, and she's dead.
While the technology has gotten better, the problem hasn't, with Logan police handling yet another domestic violence call this weekend.
He was so nice when he was getting his way, and then when things were not going his way, he would turn and just gaslight me, and I felt so confused.
It was mostly like coercion, so just I didn't really want to have sex, but I just felt like I had to because he would continually push it and just ask over and over, and just got to a point where I was like, okay, fine, like I guess I have to do this, you know, because I just didn't feel like there was any other option. And then it led to the more like physical abuse.
Officials say the issue is present, especially in Utah.
Violence against girls and women and rape and all of this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable in a society. It's unacceptable to God. And we have not done the work we need to do in the state of Utah to change things.
Utah Women and Leadership Project says that 1 in 2 Utah women will experience sexual abuse. So for these 8 women, you can go, you're good, and you're good. These 4 women would be a victim.
It took me a long time and a lot of therapy to get to a point where I actually recognized like what he did to me and the way he treated me wasn't okay.
I just thought that I was going crazy. I thought that he must be right, that I really was overly sensitive.
Abuse survivors and officials say that friends can help. First, educate yourself.
We really need to be more informed often so that we can help others and know for ourselves.
And second, talk.
We're starting to have these conversations, but we need to continue to have them in a more open, honest way.
The person that's going through the experience is probably not going to like what you're saying, but it's still important to speak up.
It sucks, but it doesn't have to be the thing that defines you. Like you deserve to be happy, and you can find that happiness and get away from those, you know, unhealthy situations and those abusive people.
Sarah Murphy, ATV News.
If you or anyone you know has experienced abuse, you can find a link to resources on our Facebook page.
And now for an update on coronavirus case counts. Utah has 4,000 new cases, 16,000 active cases, and about 302,000 cases total. Here in Cache County, there are 31 new cases, 550 active cases, and 14,800 total cases. At Utah State, there are 11 new cases, 63 active cases, and 3,000 total cases.
Online events are the new normal, but don't you wish we could go back to how things were? USU seniors can celebrate graduation in person this year, but some changes will be made. ATV's Kaylee Foster asks seniors what they think about these adjustments.
Big crowds and no masks. That was commencement 2019. Last year, COVID concerns shut down all of this. Some even say it doesn't even feel like they even graduated.
I watched universities across the country start to shut down. Then I kind of just assumed that they would still figure out something with the graduation, and honestly, I didn't even really realize I was actually officially graduated until I had my diplomas in hand that had been mailed to me.
There still isn't a plan to celebrate the class of 2020. USU says they're still waiting for it to be safe to travel.
This year, students have the opportunity to receive their diploma in person, but their friends and families are going to have to watch a live stream of the ceremony.
The graduation will take place from Wednesday, May 5th to Friday, May 7th. All commencements will be live streamed. In-person events will include a short processional, graduate recognition as they cross a stage, and a recessional.
I was actually really disappointed with the overall graduations announcement. I'm happy that we have graduation that we can attend.
While seniors may be disappointed with the news, some say they're happy to get some kind of celebration.
That degree in the ceremony is something you definitely look forward to when you come to college. And it definitely sucks that we're not going to get that, but I understand why.
Kaylee Foster, ATV News.
Graduating seniors need to RSVP for the ceremony with their graduating college. Sam, you're graduating, right?
Yeah, I am. I haven't decided if I'm going to walk yet, though.
Why not?
Well, my name might be Walker, but I think I might just watch it virtually. Let's see what's coming up.
Should've stayed at home in bed.
We'll show you who else threw down up next.
And Sarah Murphy will give us the 7-day forecast. The current temperature is 54 degrees.
Good job.
welcome to the month of March. Now, you might have heard the phrase, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb, once or twice in your life. Now, many believe this saying has origins in the stars, but beyond that, this saying has also been commonly used to describe the weather. During March, we transition from winter to spring, and some say the weather at the beginning of March is ferocious, almost lion-like, but by the end of the month, it turns to lamb-like spring conditions. So let's check out and see if this saying applies to Utah. We're going to dive straight into our national radar here. And now you might expect some ferocious lion-like storm that's going on, but really, as you can see, things are looking pretty quiet weather-wise here across the country. Now, this is a welcome change for many states, especially places like Texas or other places in the South who recently were gripped by cold and snowy conditions during the last few days in February. You'll also see that there's a big rainstorm over here looming on the west coast directly above San Diego. And on the opposite side of the country in the southeast, there's some wet weather systems spreading over there as well. But aside from that, really everything else is looking pretty mellow and more lamb-like than expected. Let's check out how this state of Utah holds up. Now, the sunny and warm conditions we've experienced recently along the Wasatch Front and northern Utah, well, they're going to stick around for the next few days. What we can do is we can keep an eye on the possibility of cooler weather coming later into the weekend. Now, let's look specifically here at our Cache Valley forecast. Weather this week in Logan, well, it's looking pretty tame and lamb-like to me. We currently have sunny conditions with a high of 54, and it's going to keep going in the 50s throughout the rest of the week. Now, over to the beginning of next week, we can expect maybe a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, but ultimately, we can watch for these cooling conditions, but it's looking pretty tame. Now, basically, with this saying, it looks like Utah isn't looking so ferocious this month after all. We'll have to see for the rest of the month. As for today, you're all caught up on your forecast. Now back to you, Will.
Thanks, Sarah. The USU Inclusion Center is trying to change the way we think about the word fat. Kiki Tuileta is there right now to show us how they want to do that. The year of the women might be over, but due to overwhelming response, 4-H clubs across the state are still celebrating. ATV's Kaylee Foster joins one of the clubs as they work on quilts for women's shelters.
Okay.
I pledge my head to clear thinking.
45 4-H clubs in 17 different counties across the state have stitched together quilts for sleep in heavenly peace. When the project started, the 4-H program only expected 34 quilts.
Right now we're at 80 quilts that have come in. We only provided 66 quilt kits, but people have just donated it in addition.
One of the clubs that made quilts is the American Girl 4-H Club in Cache Valley.
It was an email that we got and inviting us to participate and make these quilt tops for this Women's Year and these quilts would be donated to children and women who were in crisis situations.
It was really fun for me, but the thing is, we put like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, mainly just blood.
The 4-Hers use fabric strips like this to create a top of a quilt like this, which then the state 4-H office ended up making a full quilt like this.
We tried to work with each girl with what abilities they had. And we found that the older girls did more of the sewing, the younger ones did more of helping us pin and press.
The Quilt Project helped connect 4-Hers to American history.
Quilting is kind of a historical craft that a lot of women did. You know, they cut up all of their shirts and make quilts out of them after.
Kaylee Foster, ATV News.
The club had planned to finish in December, but so many people wanted to help that they extended their deadline. And now Kiki Tuileta joins us from the USU Inclusion Center.
Hey, thanks. It's good to finally be here with you guys. So I'm here in the TSC where they started kicking off their Fat Acceptance Fridays by handing out these grab bags. Students stopped by and picked up bags filled with things like treats and motivational stickers. The Inclusion Center says their motivation behind the series to help create the conversations and spaces where plus-size people can feel included. So you can come
So we're
up
trying
here
to end that
between
stigmatization
March and
of like,
April on
you're
any
fat and
Friday, you'll be able to
lazy,
find
you don't
more
do
information
anything.
about the
But what they really want you to know.
Any body in all sizes are welcome.
You can come anytime to TSC 315 and you'll be able to get more information about the activities. They're going to have activities every Friday from March until April. They're going to have activities like fat yoga and a live fashion show. They'll also have seminars about eating disorders and relationships. You can check out the link on our Facebook page also if you want, and that'll take you to the series events activities. Kiki Tuleta, ATV News. Back to you, Will.
Kiki?
Free menstrual hygiene products are coming to women's restrooms at USU. The school will be the first university in Utah to provide them in restrooms free of charge. Starting this summer, women on campus will no longer have to pay at these dispensers in the restrooms. Brock Hardcastle, who is in charge of the project, says the current dispensers will be changed to not need payment.
I'm glad that even though it's something small, it's something that's really impactful, and I'm glad that we're seeing that change now.
The Vice President for Student Affairs says the facilities budget will cover the cost of installation and restocking.
Right, there will be no additional student fees to cover those costs.
That's pretty awesome. Hey Rob, what's coming up in sports?
He lost it.
But how can he get his own rebound?
Because they say it was deflected.
I'll give you guys a step-by-step breakdown of what the Jazz have cooking down in Salt Lake.
With Gobert and the two-man.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
Zion up against Gobert, who blocks it.
The Jazz lost this one 129 to 124 against the Pelicans, but still have the best record in the league. Welcome to ATV Sports. My name is Robinson Miles. The Jazz are 27-8 and number 1 in the Western Conference. They've really got something cooking in Salt Lake, and to show what it is, we'll go to our new segment, In the Kitchen with Chef Rob. Thanks, Robinson. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Chef Rob, where today we are going to be following the Jazz's own recipe for an elite basketball team. Now, first things first, wash your hands. This means moving off of players who aren't producing as much as the Jazz need, like Dante Exum, Jeff Green, and Ed Davis. Now we're going to get all of our ingredients together. For our base, we're going to have defensive juggernaut Rudy Gobert. The two-time Defensive Player of the Year and two-time All-Star is averaging 13.2 rebounds, 2.8 blocks, and 64.9% from the field per game this season. Let's just put the whole thing in. Next, we're going to add the sweetness, Donovan Mitchell. In his fourth year in the league, the two-time All-Star is averaging 24.4 points and 5.4 assists a game. He's also the 2018 Slam Dunk Contest champion, and he plans on shooting in the All-Star three-point contest this year. This recipe's gonna need a little bit of Southern flair, and that's Mike Conley. The 14-year NBA veteran spent his first 12 years in the league with the Grizzlies before they traded him to the Jazz. After a slow start last season, he's now averaging 16 points a game. Just like back in Memphis. Now this is going to need a fuller flavor profile. That means contributions from Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, Derek Favors, Royce O'Neal, and George Niang. All of this is going to need a bit of structure, and that's why we have Quinn Snyder. Snyder is in his 6th year as head coach for the Jazz. He was a finalist for Coach of the Year in 2018, and this year the NBA made him the coach for the Western Conference All-Star team.
Now, I don't have a finished product here because of how long this takes to rise. At least the next few months until the playoffs start in May. Now, how high is it going to rise? There's no real way to know.
Can the Jazz hold on to the 1 seed? Do they make it to the second round of the playoffs, the Western Conference Championship, or maybe even the NBA Finals?
Only time will tell. That's it here from In the Kitchen. Back to you, Robinson.
Thanks, Chef Rob. That guy's the best. And now, a heartwarming story about true love and the Jazz's new biggest fan. Now, he's not a politician or a diplomat, but he did play one on TV. That's right, it's the Minister of Silly Walks himself, John Cleese. The 81-year-old comedian and founding member of British comedy troupe Monty Python tweeted on Valentine's Day an itemized list of his thoughts on President Trump's second impeachment hearings, and ended that list with number 4, I adore the Utah Jazz. The Jazz's official Twitter account responded to one of Cleese's subsequent tweets praising their scoring ability to ask, John Cleese, will you be our Valentine? To which the comedy legend responded, yes, I love you all to Venus and back. Now, the bounds of journalistic integrity keep me from making a lot of subjective statements, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that USU's own Nehemiah Queta enjoys basketball. He was all smiles in the Aggies' 87-66 victory against the Nevada Wolfpack on Saturday. The 7-foot big man scored 26 points and nabbed 13 rebounds, a feat that earned him the title of Mountain West Men's Basketball Player of the Week. During the game, the Utah State bench received a technical foul, but not because of a player or coach.
There's our offender.
It was this man, Ryan Corbett. Corbett is a team manager who was honored as part of senior night before tip-off. The refs didn't like what Corbett had to say during the game, and with a near-empty arena, his words must have been harder to ignore. The USU women's basketball team is coming off of back-to-back losses over the weekend, but that didn't keep Shyla Latone from catching fire. In the Aggies' 97-65 loss to New Mexico, the 5'4" red-shirt sophomore shot 11 of 25 from the floor, 9 of 17 from 3, and 2 for 2 from the free throw line for a total of 33 points. Now that is it here from Sports Today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Rob. And thanks for watching this edition of ATV News.
You can find all the latest editions on our Facebook page. Thank you for watching.
Grab the steering wheel. He has a way of making me feel so guilty. I don't really wanna go, but I know he'll just keep on calling and calling me.